I made my first real money late. Not because I found a secret, because I stopped doing stupid things. Everyone is looking for the magic stock, the perfect timing, the insider tip. There is no secret. There's just a checklist of avoidable mistakes, and if you avoid them, you win. I've spent years watching smart people sabotage themselves. Same patterns, same traps, same excuses. And most of the damage doesn't happen in one big dramatic moment. It happens quietly, one bad decision at a time, until a decade disappears. Today, I'm giving you the checklist. 7 mistakes that cost decades, not months. And if you recognize even 3 of these in your own life, you're not a little behind. You're leaking time. This is calm wealth. No hype, no predictions, no hot picks. Just what holds up when markets get loud and life gets messy. Let's start. Mistake number 1. You learn only from your own mistakes. That sounds brave. It's not. It's expensive. I'm not smart enough to make every mistake myself. I don't have that much time. Neither do you. So I study failure on purpose. Not success stories, not feel-good inspiration. Failure. Because the same patterns repeat. Different decade, different asset, different buzzwords, same human behavior. Mass optimism. This time is different. It's never different. People always think they'll be the exception, that they'll sell at the top, that they'll spot the warning signs. They won't, unless they've trained themselves to recognize the script. That's what learning from other people's mistakes really is. Pattern recognition. You compress decades of pain into a few hours of focused attention, and that one habit will save you more money than most advice ever will. Here's your action step. Once a month, study one financial disaster, a bubble, a fraud, a collapse, and ask 3 questions. What story were people telling themselves? What warning signs were obvious in hindsight? What decision made the damage irreversible? Do that consistently, and you become harder to fool. You become harder to break. And that matters, because mistake number 2 is the one that wipes people out the fastest. Precisely because it feels smart while you're doing it. Before we go further, let me ask you something. Write in the comments where you're watching from and how old you are. Not for me, for you. There's something grounding about seeing your age written in your own words before you hear what comes next. Mistake number 2. You buy things you don't understand. This one is everywhere, and it's the fastest way to donate your money to someone smarter, louder, or luckier than you. Here's my rule. If I don't understand it, I don't own it. Period. No exceptions. Not just a small position. Not just in case. Not, my friend says it's the future. If you can't explain what you own in plain language, you're not investing. You're hoping. And what's crazy is how people behave. You'll spend an hour researching a cheap appliance, comparing reviews, checking details. But you'll throw real money into an asset because you saw a screenshot, a headline, or a confident stranger online. That's not diversification. That's impulse. Calm wealth isn't about catching every winner. It's about avoiding the disasters that wipe people out. When you only buy what you understand, you miss some rockets, and you also avoid most explosions. So here's the test. Take anything you own that's supposed to make you money and answer 2 questions. First, how does it make money? Not, why will the price go up? That's speculation. How does cash actually get generated? Second, what would have to be true for this to fail? Not a temporary dip. Fail. Permanently. If you can't answer those clearly, you have homework. Either learn it until you can explain it simply, or remove it. At 45 plus, confusion is not a harmless phase. Confusion is risk. Now, mistake number 3 is more subtle, because it feels like ambition. Mistake number 3, you're in a hurry. You want the result before you've paid the price. You want to be rich by next quarter. You want to feel progress every week. And when you don't, you start doing something. That urge to do something is what kills returns. The big money is not made in constant action. It's made in a small number of good decisions, and then long periods of doing nothing while time works. But most people can't sit still. They see someone else hit a lucky streak, and suddenly patience feels like stupidity. They chase, they trade, they rotate strategies, they jump from one idea to the next. 5 years later, they're exhausted, and the account hasn't moved. Here's the brutal truth. If your strategy requires excitement, it will eventually require regret. Calm wealth is built by boring repetition. Contribute, hold, rebalance rarely, ignore noise, and let compounding do what it always does, slowly at first, then suddenly. So your action step is simple. Pick a cadence that protects you from your own emotions. Decide right now. You check your portfolio no more than once a month. You don't buy something because it's moving. You don't sell something because you're scared. You make decisions on a schedule, not on a feeling. Write those rules down. Put them somewhere you'll see them. Because in the moment, when the market is loud, you won't think clearly. You'll default to instinct, and instinct is built for survival, not wealth. All right, mistake number 4 is where people confuse safety with owning everything. Mistake number 4. You confuse diversification with owning everything. This is where people feel safe and quietly guarantee mediocre results. Here's the problem. When you own too many things, you don't actually reduce risk, you reduce understanding. You can't possibly track 30, 40, 50 different positions with any real clarity. So what do? You stop thinking like an owner and start thinking like a spectator. You glance at charts. You react to headlines. You make changes because you're nervous, not because the fundamentals changed. That's not investing, that's stress management. Calm wealth rule. Diversify against disaster, not against boredom. If you know what you own and why, you don't need 100 moving parts. You need a small number of durable positions that you understand, and then you let time work. Now, I'm not telling you to put your entire net worth into one stock. Most people shouldn't. But I am telling you this. If you've built a do-it-yourself index fund of random names you can't explain, you've created more work, more temptation to tinker, more taxes, for the same market returns you could get with far less effort. So here's your action step. Open your portfolio. Write down every position. Next to each one, write one clear sentence. What does this business or fund own, and how does it make money? If you can't write that sentence, you don't understand it. And if you don't understand it, it doesn't belong there. If you want broad exposure without homework, choose a simple, low-cost index fund and move on with your life. That's not failure. That's self-awareness. The failure is pretending you're diversified when you're actually just confused. All right. Mistake number 5 is boring, which is exactly why it's destroying your wealth. Mistake number 5. You're bleeding money through fees and taxes and you don't notice. People obsess over returns and completely ignore leakage. But leakage is guaranteed. Returns are not. A 1% fee sounds small. It's not small. It's a silent partner taking a huge slice of your long-term compounding. And that's just fees. Add unnecessary trading, short-term taxes, spreads, and friction, and suddenly you're running uphill while someone is holding your jacket. Calm wealth rule. Protect compounding from parasites. You don't need perfect picks, you need low friction. So here's what you do this week. Look at your last year and find 3 numbers. How much you paid in fund fees or expense ratios, how much you paid in trading costs, how much you paid in capital gains taxes because you sold. Add it up. If that number is meaningfully more than what it needed to be, your strategy is too active. The fix is not more research. The fix is less movement. Hold longer. Trade less. Use low-cost funds when appropriate. Stop paying for activity. Activity feels productive, but it often just creates taxes. Now, mistake number 6 is the one that gets smart people destroyed, even when they know better. Mistake number 6. You let emotions drive the decisions. This is the pattern that never dies. When the market drops and the news gets scary, you feel the urge to sell. When everything is going up and everyone seems rich, you feel the urge to buy. You do the exact opposite of what works. Your brain is wired for short-term survival. That wiring is great for running from danger. It's terrible for building long-term wealth. Calm wealth rule. Your rules must be written before you need them. So write them down, now, while you're calm. Rules like, I don't check my portfolio every day. I don't sell because I'm scared. I don't buy because I'm excited. I make decisions on a schedule, not on a feeling. I don't change strategy in the middle of a storm. Print them, save them, put them somewhere you'll see them, because the next storm will come. And in the storm, you won't think clearly, you'll feel. And feelings are not an investment strategy. Okay, mistake number 7 is the quiet killer. It destroys more wealth than people realize because it doesn't look like a mistake in the moment. Mistake number 7. You quit too early. You do the boring work for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and because you don't feel rich, you assume it's not working. So you jump strategies. You chase a new thing. You start over. That's how people spend their whole life busy, without ever compounding. Wealth grows slowly at first, painfully slowly. In the early years, it feels like nothing is happening. That's normal. Compounding is not linear. It's exponential. The first part feels useless. The later part feels unfair. Calm wealth rule. Don't quit during the slow years. The slow years are the price. Here's your action step. Pick one boring, proven strategy you can stick with for decades, not months. Automate it. Reduce the temptation to tinker. And commit to staying through boredom, through fear, through envy, through headlines. Because the only people who don't get the compounding phase are the people who leave right before it starts. So let's tie this together. If you avoid these 7 mistakes, you don't need genius. You don't need luck. You don't need a secret. You need patience and discipline, and a system that keeps you from sabotaging yourself. Most people clicked away already, looking for the next thing. Good. Less competition for you. If you want more calm wealth conversations, no hype, no hot takes, no predictions, subscribe. And before you go, choose one mistake from this list that you're cutting this month. Just one. Write it in the comments. Make it real. Now go do boring things that make you rich.